King
Yeah.
Canyon.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's get into this King Canyon story because there's sort of a prequel that goes with this, which is the history of both you guys. But, when we start this story off, it's, not that long a story, a 2020 beginning. And King Canyon was very much, I guess, a COVID baby, wasn't it?
It was. I reckon this might be almost one of the last interviews that we talk about the COVID thing too, isn't it? Because it's like, yes, that feels like a while ago now. Thank God.
It does feel like a while ago now, particularly with the live music scene back and probably more active than it was in 2019. It's like a distant memory already, but for the sake of this story, the origins of this band started right at that point.
Yes, it happened, and it only happened because of COVID, no doubt about that. It's just everything stopped. I mean, it was the start of COVID. It wasn't a thing where anyone was thinking, oh, I wonder if there'll still be. It was like in no time, it was like there's nothing, and there's not going to be anything for a long time. So I just thought, man, I've got original stuff I've wanted to do for a long time. There's never enough time to get around to it, typically, and so I put my feelers out, and no one was available, so I just ended up.
Starting off at the time that you started off, the audience that you would have built over the next year was basically an online audience. This would have been an audience that would have discovered this band through streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And myself, like a lot of people, I'd never done any streaming or any. I mean, that was not even in my targets of something that I would want to have done. But I was like, well, let's give this a crack. There's a lot of people. Well, everybody is in the same boat, sitting at home, not in a really great, happy way. And we had something that we were thrilled about and really just excited. And obviously, the first thing we wanted to be able to do is share it with people, with anyone.
Yeah.
So we started the streaming,
and it became less covers, and more of our own songs. And it was terrific because we had the opportunity to rehearse our own songs basically in front of these people that were listening. And before we knew it, we're like, gee, we've really got to get some band members in here. This is sounding so good. We've got to put a band together,
Yeah.
So it was really good fun.
Yeah. And how did that selection process come about?
Well, to be honest, the guys that I thought of, they were just like my first pick. Like in the same way that now the way the band has evolved and come together in this amazing way, they are the perfect members, So in the same way that I was thinking, well, let me try and do this project that I haven't been able to do. I thought, well, who would I, out of anyone at any point, who would be awesome as the other band members? So reached out to those guys, Hayden Meggett on drums and Kit Riley on bass.
Phenomenal team.
And they were super keen, 100%. So as soon as we were able to, do anything to get them involved, they were there.
And then the early days of the original music started. Woman, Smokestack City, a very English bluesy 60s pub rock feel to this band from the get-go, didn't we?
Yeah,
definitely started off. Yeah, that way. Yeah,
I think we started off with that bluesy thing because I think when we first got together, we were kind of going to go down that track, but then we started writing these songs that started to go off in different areas, and that's when I thought we've really found a real individualness, and the songs that we have late are really very special, But again, there's still little bits of soulfulness in there, but not as like bluesy and funky as something like Woman and Smokestack City.
To me, the styles were a broad range of styles. I guess it was evident in Long Distance. That was a bit of a change of pace and gave me more of an American type feel. But like the era of influence seems to all be around the same time.
Yeah, I think definitely our love of things originally definitely 60s, 70s is where I think whatever happened to us musically, that's where the greatest amount of it went. went in and stuck.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
influences still come out in most of the songs. It's just that it might only be a little hint. There might just be a bridge where you sing something.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, well, that's the thing. But we just don't go after a particular sound or style, because we just decided, why would we be doing it? I mean, we didn't do this because we got signed to a label and then we had to stick with a certain thing or provide a certain sound. So we just thought, man, let's just do what we have fun, and whatever comes out,
it's kind of like
let it happen.
It's kind of like saying to yourself, not having a preconceived idea of a song. It's like having a blank canvas and keeping it blank and then going, okay, let's see what happens. You know, it's like, you know, when people grab colors and they throw them at a canvas, or they put a spinning rope and it comes out, and whatever comes out usually is pretty special. And that seems to be what's kind of happening. We're not trying to control it. We're just letting it be free, aren't we?
Yep.
And gee, it feels great when it sounds good. It's great. If it sounds crap, you go, oh, well.
I say, Jimmy, what? That's
at least we tried.
you wrote that bit, didn't you? I don't.
No, you wrote that.
No, I wrote the start, and that's pretty. But then you wanted to go.
Yes,
Yeah.
it would have got otherwise.
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's nothing wrong with borrowing a few influences and sort of channeling it into something you've created. And Jimmy, I got the distinct impression there was a bit of a Gillan scream there going on with Pretty Little Thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In there. Yeah. Look, I used to sing like that kind of all the time, and it was a bit of a problem because I remember having to do a Frank Sinatra show, and I had to sing all these songs by Frank Sinatra. And when I got off the stage, the guy that was the MD said, "Man, that's like Frank Sinatra on coke." I went, "Oh, sorry." So there was a time when I had to stop doing the all that stuff.
When is that time going to happen?
But he reckons I'm still doing it, but I don't think I'm doing it as much.
No, not
the last two shows I behaved myself, didn't I?
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
It's the Led Zeppelin, Ian Gillan, Ronnie James Dio, and all those sorts of things. A little bit of White Snake and all that influences from the 70s,
Yeah. Well, that's not bad. How does that compare with your influences of the time then, James?
Oh, I mean, that's probably Zeppelin's the only one that I've obviously listened to, but that's Jimmy's biggest influence, my favorite band. But all the others, I mean, identical. I grew up mostly with a lot of the early heavy rock when it was just called, remember, it was just like hard rock or something, and then heavy rock, and then in the 80s at some point, heavy metal.
Yeah.
But I grew up with that early stuff and blues. So yeah, the same kind of influences, definitely.
Yeah, it's funny because even though I didn't listen to Led Zeppelin, I hear Jimmy Page sometimes in some of the playing. There's a song called Good Old Days. Just before the chorus, there's this really interesting thing. You close your eyes, it's a Jimmy Page type thing, So little things like that pop up, which is really cool.
Good Old Days, one of the newer songs that the band has done. There was Gravity last year as well. Is this going to be all part of a King Canyon debut album?
Oh, is it? Yes, it is. Yes, that's our primary objective at the moment, and which I've just been working every day tirelessly on. So yeah, we're going to have definitely a full album coming out in the next 2-3 months. Anyway, we might do it with just talking about how to do it. We might actually stage it in a couple of parts, like a half and half, and then we're going to do a vinyl later in the year. But yes,
part 1, part 2, and then put them all on a vinyl.
So will it go back to everything that we've heard recorded from since 2020?
Some of the stuff. Because of the way things are done now with digital, the way of providing music, it's kind of, I know it's easier and it's more complicated as well, because you can kind of do anything. Obviously, back in the day, you couldn't just, I'll put a song out, I'll put another one out in a couple of months, I might put 2 out. You had an album, a single or 2 before it. And because we started from scratch, obviously we just wanted to be putting out songs as quickly and regularly as we could.
Yeah.
So now that we've looked at those, there's definitely 2 or 3, I think, maybe 4 that will go onto the album.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is new because we have so many songs.
It's
that
insane.
The only thing that works against us is
hard
the
to keep
time to get it done.
That's just the problem. If we had millions of dollars, we'd just go into a massive studio and just bang, 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 record everything live and then tweak things and then just that's it.
I don't know if we'd be doing that if we had $1 million.
You'd be in another country.
Well, I mean, we'd
be on holiday drinking cocktails.
some of that, yes.
Maybe it's
probably.
just as well.
Maybe have the pool and the cocktail bar in the studio.
It's just, now we're getting a bit, I can see what the future will bring. Success. Oh God, no.
It's okay. Luckily, you don't make money from the industry anymore.
Thank God.
Thank goodness.
Thank God. Blessing in disguise.
Sorry, went off on a tangent there. But yeah, the album is, that's what everything's about at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's go back to pre-King Canyon. And, I guess, James, you've managed to see a lot of the world in your previous life.
I've seen some. I'd like to see more. That's for sure.
Well, the Men at Work days.
Men at Work days. Yeah, that's an amazing memory, or just to even believe that happened, as you said, in an old life. South America and North America, a little bit of Japan. Crazy. Were
they the biggest shows you've ever played to at the time?
Oh, they're the biggest shows that most people would never play. Without sounding silly, I mean, it actually doesn't even seem real, but it was like huge, like a lot of massive stadiums, like filled with people. So
bigger than
but these crowds were just, especially South America, the crowds are just so into it, and they are 100% just loving that moment. Like, so it's not just that there's a whole lot of people there, it's that they are all so into it.
I don't think the average Australian realises just how big Men at Work, even in those latter years, were in South America, as is James Ryan, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it. It was this the thing that happened, isn't it? Because those bands like Men at Work and James Ryan and some other Aussie bands that never big, because they'd never been there.
Yeah,
and then they sort of found out, even however long after they'd sort of broken up, they find out that, they were huge there, and they've still got this massive following that would do anything to get them there. So they went to these places for the first time ever, and they were like superstars.
Just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was the time you opened for Kiss at the Grand Prix. Who was that with?
Yeah, that was with Vanessa Amorosi. Yes. That was not terrible. Standing on the same.
Been fun.
Did you happen to just say it because of?
Look at that, huh?
Coincidence. Yeah, that was crazy. Just actually, literally, just standing on the same stage and looking up and seeing that this is Kiss's amps and backdrop and all that was was enough. Not to mention the crazy Grand Prix crowd.
Yeah. So you can literally say Gene and Paul followed in your footsteps.
Yes, great. We'll take that. Great quote. Great quote.
Yeah.
They played on our stage.
Jimmy, you've performed at the Whiskey A Go-Go. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, yeah. I had a little band that I used to sing covers in. It was an Irish folk band, actually. And we used to do all the little Irish pubs here in Chapel Street around Melbourne. And we just put some original songs together. Before we knew it, we had like a whole hour's worth of songs, and the boys were really wanting to go there, and I was really not wanting to go for my own reasons, staying here, my children, and I didn't really want to leave my kids, but I got my arm twisted right up my back and ended up going there, and we played all these great little venues in America. And one of the venues we went to was called Baked Potato, and we met Steve Vai, Eric Singer, and Steve Lukather.
All right, no need to name drop. I wasn't name dropping everywhere. And the next thing that happened, Bill Andrew came up to me and
picked me up and said, "Get out of my way, punk." And anyway, I ended up playing at the Whiskey, and Steve Lukather turned up at the time, and boy, oh boy, on the stage, suddenly I went from being like, reasonably confident to, oh my God, Steve Lukather's here. And the whole band's going, started doing Tarzan impersonations. But no, it was great. It was just a wonderful little time. But all I remember from that time was getting back to Australia, and I felt basically like just kissing the ground. I felt scared. I'm a big scaredy cat. I just wanted to get back on.
Of course. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't get far if you in the band with Robbie Williams.
Oh, rub it in, why don't you?
Sorry.
Talk about dropping.
Okay, come on. Tell us a story.
He performed with Robbie Williams. And on stage.
Well, yes. Yeah, look, I just had a couple of cool things sort of well, it's not fall in my lap, nothing really falls in your lap, but some opportunities come up last year out of the blue, and getting to do some shows with Robbie Williams was one of them. That was a blast.
That was when they were filming, was it?
Yeah, so they were doing the filming, and they basically put on 2 concerts at Rod Laver, partially to film some stuff there, and partially probably because they just thought, well, I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to see him, so might as well put on a couple of shows while we're here.
Yeah.
Yet to see whether I'll be in the actual film, but we'll wait and see, because we also did some other filming at the Palms. At the Palms, yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I must admit, I was a bit jealous at the time, and he was rubbing it in a lot.
I was not.
And a couple of times turned up to the studio. I noticed the microphone stand was a little taller than normal. I said, what's going on here? Is that Robbie guy? And I said, just you remember who the better man is?
But you know what? You know who wouldn't get jealous?
Who?
Robbie Williams.
Ding, ding.
Okay. Enough of that.
Yeah. How do you look back on your time in The Voice, Jimmy?
Good. It was a good experience. And I really enjoyed it. I feel to this day very grateful for that, because it was the first show to come to Australia. And I think out of that, I got to go to China and sing there at the horse races, which was in front of like 29,000 people. It was the best little situation that could come out of that. And getting a million, I don't know, 1.5 million views or something, sort of spread the news that, I was getting behind myself, backing myself and having the guts to get out there and do it was a great experience for me, because I'd always just stayed in the comfort zone and safety net of just working venues, So it was a good feeling. Yeah.
Well, we've got King Canyon coming up at the Melbourne Guitar Show as well. Has there been any happening for that yet?
It's going to be really cool, because we've never had the opportunity to play for a bunch of guitar frenzied people. So I think it'll be actually a spot on audience for us to, get to play to a bunch of people who probably mostly never heard us.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to do. So I've been involved with the guitar show from the first one right through, and then there's a jams kind of thing that happens right at the end, like super jam. So, which I help organize, and Jimmy's going to hang around and sing a few songs in that as well.
Yes,
it's going to be a really cool afternoon, and people are going to go, "What the is happening here?" When they hear us and when they see Jimmy, hear him sing. Oh, I know.
Good to see you here at Noise 11.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
God
bless. Thank you.